Thank you for your attendance today at today's Bidders Conference. My name is Robert Williams, and I serve as a staff member for the Gaming Facility Location Board. It is my understanding that board members Paul Francis, Stuart Rabinowitz, and Bill Thompson are monitoring these proceedings via web stream. I'm joined today by several officials of the State Gaming Commission who have been detailed to provide assistance to the Gaming Facility Location Board. They are Edmund Burns, General Counsel, Bradley Fisher, Director of Policy Management and External Affairs, James Nielsen, Acting Director of the Division of Gaming, and Gail Thorpe, the Supervisor of Contract Administration. All of us have, for the purposes of and limited to today's session, been designated by the Gaming Facility Location Board as permissible contacts under the state's procurement lobbying law. To begin with, I'd like to start by reviewing where we are in the RFA process and outlining where we are headed. The RFA was issued on March 31st, 2014. The applicant's first questions were due on April 11th and were responded to on April 23rd. Today, of course, is the mandatory applicant conference. As I will discuss later, responses to questions posed today will be posted on the Commission's RFA webpage on May 2nd. The applicant's second questions are due on May 7th, with board responses to be posted on May 14th. As you're all aware, applications are due by 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on June 30th, 2014. Between June 30th and Labor Day, individual members of the board will be meeting with their consultants, their advisors, and staff to break down the component parts of each application. Oral presentations by applicants will likely be requested to be conducted here in Albany on the first Monday following Labor Day. Shortly thereafter, a community meeting in each of the regions will be scheduled. Then deliberations on the various proposals will commence in earnest. The next item regards a number of housekeeping matters. Written responses to advanced questions submitted for consideration at this conference have now been posted to the Commission's RFA webpage. For the convenience of the bidders, copies of those questions and answers are now being distributed. A guidance document has also been posted to the Commission RFA webpage. This one-page document clearly outlines how a bidder may seek return of its application fee. Again, for the convenience of bidders, copies of that document are also being distributed. I would also like to recognize the presence of several representatives from the Joint Commission on Public Ethics, who are over in a table in the corner over here. JCOPE is the state's lobbying regulator, and they have appropriately raised concerns that potential bidders properly respect the statutory limitations and requirements of the state's Lobbying Act, which covers both the state as well as municipal and county level lobbying. To that end, they would like to make themselves available for specific compliance questions, and I would strongly suggest that bidders take time to acquaint themselves with the JCOPE staff. As detailed in the first round questions and answers, today's conference serves two functional purposes: to receive questions seeking to clarify answers to those first round questions, and to provide an additional forum for bidders to ask questions. Thus, the agenda is relatively simple. We will ask questions from all qualified bidders. To ensure an orderly process, we have randomly ordered the list of bidders. I will allow each bidder to individually ask their questions. When all bidders have had an opportunity to ask their questions, I will then open it up for follow-up questions to be asked. For both primary and follow-up questions, please clearly identify who you are and your relationship to the bidder. This event, as we mentioned in an email to you guys yesterday, is not designed to be interactive. Applicants should neither pose questions designed to promote an individual project nor to denigrate another applicant's proposal. As I previously mentioned, answers to all questions posed today will be published on May 2nd on the State Gaming Commission's website. For those who have prepared written copies of today's questions, we would be greatly appreciative if you could provide them to Gail Thorpe, who's up here, or to Stacy Relation, who's in the back of the room, who are the official permissible contacts for RFA inquiries. Finally, when we get to the follow-up questions, as a point of procedure, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Allow one of the roving assistants to bring over a microphone, identify yourself for the record, and then ask your questions. So, with no further ado, also being distributed is a list of the order of bidder questions, the way it came up randomly. We're going to start today with Concord, Kamisha LLC, and Mohegan Gaming, New York, LLC. Yeah. We need a microphone. Oh, coming. Thank you.
Good morning. Mark Weingarten, counsel and lobbyist for Concord, Kamisha LLC and Mohegan Gaming, New York LLC. Following up on the answer to question 189C in the list of answers distributed by the Commission did not answer the question on whether it will toll the 24-month period pending completion of seeker. What is the answer to that question, and or when will it be answered? That's all we have at this time.
Thank you. The next questioner is from Green Track, Inc.
Thank you. Robert J. McLaughlin from Hodgson Russ for Green Track. We have two questions. One, with respect to post-application design changes, can you offer any guidance as to what will be permitted for the facility, including the amenities? The second question would be with respect to your answer at number 184, where it seems that you're limiting the preemption of the statute to just really the gaming floor. Dealing, operating, carrying on, conducting, maintaining, or exposing for pay of any game. Since the statute requires at least one hotel and other amenities, it's a little unclear why the preemption doesn't extend beyond just this limited gaming facility. Thank you.
Number 3 is Traditions Resort and Casino.
Good morning. This is John Hussar for Traditions Resort and Casino. We have one question relating to the oral presentations, as when the format will be announced, what's permissible, time frames for the presentation, etc.
Thank you. Next questions with Rolling Hills Entertainment, LLC.
Jason Hanselman from Dyke & McGassett. We actually don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Saratoga Harness Racing, Inc.
This is Michael Vild from Saratoga Harness Racing. We have no additional questions at this time.
Hudson Valley Gaming, LLC.
John Donnelly and Clark. We have no questions at this time.
Trading Cove, New York, LLC.
I'm Patrick Brown, Brown & Weinraup for Trading Cove, New York.
Our question involves the cutoff of what types of financial backers of these projects will be required to undergo the background check. A series of those questions were asked in the last round, and we would like some more clarity, particularly on those entities that might provide debt financing to these projects. Thank you.
NYS Funding, LLC.
Mark Schwartz, no questions at this time.
Nevele-R, LLC.
No questions at this time.
Tioga Downs Racetrack, LLC.
Jeff Garral, Chairman of American Racing. My only question is concerns the fact that we have the three of us bidding in our region, and the project entire has publicly stated that his project will cost about $350 million. Another competitor in Johnson City is on record proposing to spend about $150 million, and I'm on record proposing to spend about $150 million if you take into account the money I've already spent. And my question is, will the board consider the potential anti-competitive implications of setting the capital requirement too high and thus potentially only having one applicant left to apply?
Florida Acquisition Corp.
Good morning. Stephen D. Schreier on behalf of Florida Acquisition Corp. My question is that many of the answers to the first set of questions talked about regulations that will be promulgated that will answer those questions. So our question is, when will those regulations, or when are those regulations anticipated to be issued? And that's all the questions that we have.
Howe Caves Development, LLC.
Ryan Moses with the Park Strategies on behalf of Howe Caves. No questions, additional questions at this time.
Empire Resorts, Inc.
Good morning. Nick Cassiel, Fox Rothschild on behalf of Empire Resorts. We have several questions. RFA Exhibit C1F requests copies of any Phase 1 and Phase 2 reports or any other investigations of site, subsurface, geotechnical, or environmental conditions or hazardous materials that have been completed relating to the condition of the project site. These reports encompass thousands of pages, and we want to know that in lieu of providing a hard copy, we could either provide an executive summary of each report or an executive summary with each full report on a USB drive or other electronic media. With respect to question number 265 of the first round, it specifies the purse amounts for the different facilities. We'd like the board or the commission to clarify how they determined those amounts. The number of bidders in Region 1 presents an issue with respect to modeling. There are a number of different competitive permutations that could occur, primarily depending upon the location of competitive facilities. Our question is whether we need a low, base, average case, and high case for each of those scenarios. So, for example, we would vary the assumptions with respect to competition, and if we vary those assumptions with respect to competition, do we then need a low, average, and high case? 2 more questions. Just give me a second. Given its proximity to New York City and the market dominance of Southern Orange County, if a Southern Orange license is awarded and therefore makes the financing of a facility in Sullivan or Ulster County difficult, what would happen to the 4th license? Sorry, one more. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. RW Orange County LLC.
Good morning, Jessica Hoppy. Good morning, Jessica Hoppy, in-house counsel for RW Orange County LLC. We have 2 questions this morning. The first would be whether the procurement lobbying law prohibition on communication prevents communication with state agencies that are indirectly related to the applicant's proposed project, for example, NYDOT or the Office of State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. Any communication would be for informational purposes only, for example, traffic mitigation, not endorsement or other support. The second question is similar to the Aqueduct RFP that was issued in 2010. Will there be a media silence period that will begin upon submission of the bids until the announcement of the awarded licenses?
Wilmot Casino and Resort.
Jim Wilmot, Wilmot Casino and Resort. We have no questions at this time.
Caesars Entertainment.
Good morning, Brian Carney of Aiken Gum Strauss Hauenfeld for Caesars. We don't have any questions at this time.
OCCR Enterprises, LLC.
Good morning. Howard Weinstein on behalf of OCCR Enterprises, LLC. We have no questions at this time.
PNK Development 33, LLC.
Bill Buffalo with P&K. We have no questions at this time.
Gorsinger Development Corporation.
Good morning, Jeff Kay from the Gorsinger Development Corporation. My question, we have one question today. The answer to question 189A very clearly suggested that the gaming facilities are subject to SECRA. The answer to question 215 very clearly suggested the award of a license is independent of the SECRA process. So for clarification purposes, my question is the award of a gaming facility license and is the Gaming Commission award subject to SECRA? Part 2 of that question is the issuance of a license subject to SECRA? That's the only question we have today.
CRCR Enterprises, LLC.
Frank Donahue. We have no questions at this time.
Capital Region Gaming, LLC.
Donnelly and Clark, John Donnelly. We have no questions at this time.
And last of the primary, Saratoga Harness Racing, Inc.
Brian Davis, Saratoga Harness. Regarding answer 184, relative to the preemptive nature of the local zoning ordinances, the second portion of that answer says that the applicant is required to identify any required rezoning variances, land use approvals, et cetera, and provide a schedule pertaining to their acquisition for any use and activity that does not constitute gaming, and so forth. Our question is, the acquisition of those permits, is that to be determined by local agencies or by the state?
Okay, that concludes the primary questions. Does anyone have any follow-up following hearing other entities' questions?
Jessica Hoppy, RW Orange County LLC. To follow up on another applicant's question regarding the issuance of the regulations, will the regulations be issued in time to meet the State Administrative Procedures Act to allow for comments by applicants?
Are there any other follow-up questions? There's one in the front here.
Mark Weingarten for Concord, Kiamisha, and Mohegan Gaming again. Once it is determined when the 24-month period commences pursuant to seeker that's mentioned in question 189, will litigation against the approvals toll that two-year period?
Are there any other follow-up questions to be asked? Okay, just as a reminder, there's the, I'm sorry.
Again, this is Brian Davis from Saratoga Gaming. The definition of fully operational would require some clarification relative to partial openings, components that would be required to be open versus 100%.
Are there any other questions? Well, hearing none, going to conclude today. We appreciate your attendance. As mentioned, the answers to these will be posted on May 2nd on the Commission's website. You have another opportunity to submit written questions, taking into account the first-round questions and what was mentioned here or anything else that comes to you. Those are due on May 7th, with response being posted by May 14th. Again, we appreciate your attendance today, and good luck in the process.